What if I told you that the cholesterol in your blood is not the real enemy, and that millions of people may be treating the wrong problem? You've probably been told the same story for years. LDL is bad, HDL is good, and if your LDL number goes up, your heart is in danger. So you cut fat, you check your labs, maybe you even start a statin, and you feel responsible, proactive, safe. But here's the uncomfortable truth. People suffer heart attacks every single day with normal cholesterol levels. And some people with high cholesterol live long lives without ever developing heart disease. So what's really going on? Cholesterol is not just some toxic fat floating in your bloodstream. It's a vital molecule your body depends on for survival. The real question isn't how much cholesterol you have. The real question is, why is it being damaged in the first place? In this video, I'm going to show you what actually drives plaque formation, why we've been focusing on the wrong target, and what truly determines your heart disease risk. And once you understand this, you'll never look at your cholesterol number the same way again. Here's where most people have been misled. We were taught that cholesterol itself is the cause of heart disease, that plaque builds up simply because there is too much LDL floating around in the bloodstream. So the solution seemed obvious: lower LDL at all costs. But that explanation is incomplete. Cholesterol does not randomly stick to healthy artery walls. Your arteries are not dirty pipes that get clogged by fat like grease in a kitchen sink. That metaphor sounds convincing, but biologically, it's wrong. Plaque formation is not primarily a cholesterol problem. It is an injury and inflammation problem. Let me explain. Your artery walls are lined with a delicate layer of cells called the endothelium. Think of it as a smooth, protective inner lining. When that lining is healthy, cholesterol particles pass by without causing trouble. They deliver nutrients, hormones, and repair materials where needed. LDL itself is not evil. It's a transport vehicle. The real problem begins when the endothelium becomes damaged. What damages it? Chronic inflammation, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, smoking, oxidative stress, poor sleep, constant stress hormones, processed foods rich in refined carbohydrates and industrial seed oils. These factors create microscopic injuries along the artery wall. Now your body goes into repair mode. LDL particles are sent to help patch the damage. But when the environment is inflamed and oxidative stress is high, those LDL particles become oxidized. And oxidized LDL behaves very differently from normal LDL. It triggers an immune response. White blood cells rush in. They engulf the damaged particles. Foam cells form. Over time, this repair process becomes chaotic and turns into plaque. So the plaque is not simply cholesterol piling up. It's the result of repeated injury and dysfunctional repair. This is the critical distinction most people never hear. Lowering LDL may reduce the number of particles available, yes. But if the artery wall remains inflamed and damaged, you haven't addressed the root cause. You've reduced the building material without fixing the fire that keeps destroying the structure. This is why some individuals with modest LDL develop severe heart disease, because their metabolic environment is toxic. And this is why some people with higher LDL but low inflammation markers may have minimal plaque progression. The mainstream conversation often stops at lower the number. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Context matters. Particle quality matters. Inflammation matters. If we focus only on cholesterol, we risk ignoring the metabolic dysfunction that truly drives cardiovascular disease. And when you understand that, the entire strategy for protecting your heart starts to shift. Now let's go deeper, but I promise I'll keep this simple. Imagine your bloodstream as a highway system. Cholesterol is not a blob of fat floating around randomly. It cannot travel alone because fat does not mix with water. Your blood is mostly water. So your body packages cholesterol into particles called lipoproteins. Think of them as delivery trucks. LDL is one of those trucks. Its job is to transport cholesterol from the liver to cells that need it, and your cells absolutely need it. Cholesterol is used to build cell membranes. It's required to produce hormones like testosterone and estrogen. It's essential for vitamin D synthesis. Your brain is rich in cholesterol. So LDL is not bad by design, it's functional. The problem begins when the environment inside your body changes. When you eat large amounts of refined carbohydrates and sugars, your blood glucose rises sharply. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance. High glucose levels increase the production of reactive oxygen species, unstable molecules that create oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress like biological rust. Now imagine those LDL trucks driving through a storm of oxidative stress. They become damaged. Their structure changes. This is what we call oxidized LDL. Your immune system does not recognize oxidized LDL as friendly anymore. Macrophages, special immune cells, swallow these damaged particles. But here's the issue. They don't know when to stop. They keep engulfing oxidized LDL until they become bloated foam cells. Foam cells accumulate under the damaged endothelial lining of the artery. Over time, they form fatty streaks. Then smooth muscle cells migrate. Calcium deposits may develop. What started as microscopic injury slowly becomes a complex layered plaque. But here's something most people never hear. This entire cascade is driven by inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Insulin resistance increases small, dense LDL particles. These smaller particles are more likely to penetrate the arterial wall. They are also more prone to oxidation. So it's not just about how much LDL you have, it's about the type and the metabolic environment surrounding it. At the same time, chronic stress raises cortisol. Poor sleep disrupts glucose regulation. Smoking directly damages the endothelium. Lack of movement reduces nitric oxide production, which normally keeps arteries flexible and relaxed. All of these factors create the perfect storm: endothelial injury plus oxidative stress plus immune overactivation. Cholesterol becomes part of the story only after the injury has already occurred. Think of cholesterol like firefighters arriving at a burning building. If you only count the number of firefighters at the scene, you might assume they caused the fire. But they're there because something else started it. In many cases, cholesterol is participating in repair. Now, this does not mean cholesterol is irrelevant. Extremely high levels can increase risk. But the biological mechanism shows us something much more nuanced. Cardiovascular disease is fundamentally an inflammatory metabolic condition. When the metabolic terrain is healthy, stable blood sugar, low inflammation, good endothelial function, LDL particles move through the bloodstream with far less trouble. And once you understand this mechanism, you stop asking, how do I lower cholesterol? And start asking a much more powerful question. How do I reduce inflammation and repair my metabolic health? That's where real prevention begins. Now let's shift from theory to action. If heart disease is driven largely by inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic dysfunction, then the strategy becomes very clear. Improve the internal environment of your body. Here's exactly where I would start. Number 1, stabilize your blood sugar. Nothing damages the endothelium more consistently than repeated blood sugar spikes. Reduce refined carbohydrates, white bread, sugary drinks, pastries, ultra-processed snacks. Prioritize whole foods, vegetables, quality protein, healthy fats, and fiber. When blood sugar becomes stable, insulin levels drop, oxidative stress decreases, and LDL particles are less likely to become small and dense. Number 2, improve insulin sensitivity. This is critical. Resistance training 2 to 3 times per week dramatically improves how your cells respond to insulin. Walking daily, especially after meals, can blunt glucose spikes. Sleep 7 to 8 hours consistently. Poor sleep alone can worsen insulin resistance within days. Number 3, reduce chronic inflammation. Focus on anti-inflammatory nutrition. Omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish like salmon or sardines can help balance inflammatory pathways. Increase colorful vegetables rich in polyphenols and antioxidants. Avoid industrial seed oils repeatedly heated at high temperatures. Stop smoking if you smoke. There is no workaround for that one. Number 4, protect your endothelium. Nitric oxide is essential for healthy arteries. You can boost nitric oxide naturally through exercise, leafy greens like spinach and arugula, and even simple nasal breathing. Regular physical activity improves vascular flexibility and reduces arterial stiffness. Number 5, manage stress strategically. Chronic psychological stress keeps cortisol elevated, which worsens glucose regulation and inflammation. You don't eliminate stress, but you train your response to it. Breath work, sunlight exposure, social connection, and even short daily recovery rituals can lower baseline stress hormones. Number 6, look beyond total cholesterol. If you are testing, consider markers that reflect metabolic health. Triglycerides, HDL levels, triglyceride to HDL ratio, fasting insulin, and inflammatory markers like hs-CRP. These often provide deeper insight than LDL alone. And what about statins? Statins can reduce cardiovascular risk in certain high-risk populations, but they are not magic shields. Medication does not replace metabolic repair. If lifestyle remains inflammatory, risk remains. The goal is not to ignore cholesterol. The goal is to create a metabolic environment where cholesterol can do its job without becoming part of a destructive process. When you lower inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, improve endothelial health, and strengthen insulin sensitivity, you address the root cause, not just the number on a lab report. That is how you truly protect your heart. Now, here's something even more important. If inflammation and metabolic dysfunction are the true drivers of heart disease, then you must understand what insulin resistance is really doing inside your body, because that's the silent force behind most cardiovascular risk. And if you haven't watched my video about insulin resistance and how it silently damages your arteries, I've placed that video right here. Go check it out.